What? It said in the news that someone guessed the private key and stole $54 million of Ether? Holy crap, I need to share this with the rest of the world. This is crazy. Blockchain is doomed. Cryptography is dead. Oh my goodness. Hey and welcome to today's video. My name is Julian. On my channel, it's all about making you crypto fit, so that exactly this stuff doesn't happen. That when you see a news article, that you don't get confused about all this and you don't get tricked by people claiming that something is broken that actually isn't, that people can't dupe you into stuff. But so that you understand things like decentralization, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, a little bit of entrepreneurship and mindset, because this is really, really important. And how this topic or how this video came up is through an article that was published in one of Germany's largest newspapers. It's a boulevard paper called the Bild. It's like the picture, and it has these really sensational headlines. And so the headline was, and let's go into the screen share so you kind of see this, for those that don't speak German, don't worry. Here it basically says, someone guessed the private key and this thief was able to steal $54 million. Now, obviously, this is unbelievable, because how is it possible that someone stole a private key, guessed a private key? This should be super improbable. If this doesn't tell you anything, in my book, Cryptocurrencies Simply Explained, I talk about probabilities there. It's way more likely that an asteroid kills the entire Earth more than someone guessing a specific private key. The odds are simply so improbable. It's so tiny. So how is it possible? And so most of the time when you hear the blockchain gets hacked or Bitcoin gets hacked or Ether gets hacked, it's actually a couple of things. Most of the time we're actually talking about an exchange hack. So it's in a centralized company that gets hacked, and the coins get stolen from them. But then here in this article, it becomes clear that this is not the case. The second one is that when we talk about wallets being hacked or a user being hacked, most of the time it's that this person had a password to protect his wallet, and then someone could crack the password and steal that. In this case, it becomes clear this is not the case. So did Ethereum really get hacked and someone stole $54 million? Well, let's look into the article and check it out. So we can scroll this down, and I'm not going to bore you with the German details. The interesting thing is this part here, the reference, your source, where this is from. And this was published a few days before, and there's actually a video that you can watch if you want to. And this reminds me of reading some medical papers. But basically, you have this abstract, you have an introduction, you have some background, and then you have a discussion with some details, and then you have a conclusion. And so basically, here you can see everything is correct. This looks all like super proper. Obviously, on January 13th, this blockchain bandit held a balance of close to 38,000 Ether, valued at 54 million. That's pretty impressive. So what actually happened? And they kind of go through all this, right? So they go in explanation. If this confuses you, I'll link up an entire series called Crash Course Cryptography. You can see everything in a very easy overview. And obviously what they're doing is they're finding certain ranges here of weak keys. And then when you go down, and this is all the explanation, and you go down to the actual conclusion, you can see this here, that what they basically did was they checked areas in this key space where there's a very high chance for weak keys. And weak keys simply means where there's no randomness. So these are people who created their keys by themselves, not using a random number generator or a good random number generator. Or these are just things where people thought of, like mind keys, for example, a mind wallet. And so then that's how they kind of attacked that, and they just tested those out, and it's just a small key space, and then they were able to find those keys. The lesson out of all of this are a couple. First of all, don't believe everything that the press says, especially headlines, sensational stuff. Don't spread that straight away. That's how fake news get created a lot of times, right? And this article got shared a lot, especially in the German crypto community. The second key thing is, you need to have a little bit of understanding of some area that you're in, especially if you're investing money. You don't need to understand everything in great detail, but you should have some basic understanding. So especially investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other coins, well, understand some of the basics. Again, I would recommend you this book, Cryptocurrencies Simply Explained. Very easy read, and you're going to understand the overview on this. And then the third one, and that's really important, you need to use services where these problems don't occur. So you're not one of those cases where someone guesses your private key, which in theory should be very improbable, but then it becomes probable because you're using weak base conditions. And this is something that's really, really important, and I just kind of wanted to highlight out there. Obviously, there's a lot of people who have an attention span as a goldfish, and then they share these articles straight away without actually reading everything in full detail. So do me a favor, if you're watching all the way until here, click and say still here, make a comment, say still here. I'll give you a thumbs up for this, really big kudos, because that shows that you actually watch up to 10 minutes of a video to really understand something and not just fall for the hype and sensation. So that would be quite cool. I'd be looking up for a thumbs up. Remember, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at the next video. Yours truly, Julian.